What up, everyone? Welcome back to the show. Welcome back to the pod. Thank you for joining us. I'm your co-host, Wajih, and I'm joined with the other co-host, Raza Ali. And finally, after 6 weeks, we got a guest appearance from none other than TNS Rokel Gadel, aka Ali Zedi. Let's go. Amazing smile. Say what up to the peeps.
I can try and do the whole podcast in Spanish. I gotta like brush up on it though.
Ay, 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 necesitas hablar en español.
Spanish is
Um,
better than my Urdu, so.
that's relatable, Rob. Damn. Well, we're so happy and glad that you can make it on, and hopefully in these next coming weeks, you guys will be able to hop on. Um, Kind of a different structure since we have a guest appearance for today's pod. We're going to go into our matchups as usual, kind of highlight the matchups of the week, and then we'll kind of go into our guest appearance type of segment and talk about Ali's team as well as just some of the things that he feels is super important throughout the season and his team and all that. And then a cool little segment that we want to try out, and then of course Shaq. So jumping right into it, one of the matchups of the week was none other than our co-host, as well as Sami. Um,
Let's go. First win.
Raza got his first win. It was 164 to 121. Raza's team, he had two players that really performed exceptionally well. Leonard Fournette notching 36.9 points, and Travis Kelce having a 4 touchdown day on Monday night, right? Monday night, 33 points. It just wasn't, it was too much to handle for Sami. And now Sami looks like he's in full rebuild mode off of that loss. What do you guys think?
Ali, I'll let you answer first. You're the guest.
Yeah, I mean, I think we all know that like Reza just had a string of bad luck to start the season. Like we know his team's pretty solid. Like no matter how much shit, or I don't know if we can swear on this podcast, but you know how
Go
much
ahead. Feel
Yeah.
free.
stuff.
Feel free.
No matter how much stuff Salik says, Reza's team is good. And so I think it just took finally kind of a week where everything came together, where he didn't lose off of a Daniel Jones interception. He didn't lose by like 3 points to Amar. Like, you know, so we'll see. Is this like the start of, the you're gonna roll right into the playoffs, or is this kind of like a one hit wonder?
Yeah, that's yet to come. I'm hoping for a win streak. Yeah, you guys did a good job of covering that matchup. Only thing I could add to that would be Sami was hit with just a lot of bad luck, which is what I've been really dealing with over the last few weeks. He lost a few players, T. Higgins being one of them. He tried to play that game, he didn't put up a dud. Yeah, that's pretty much it for that matchup. I also wanted to highlight one other matchup from this week, and it's no other than Farhan and our guest star Ali Zedi's matchup. This was probably the closest scoring matchup for this week. It was a 129 to 135 finish. It was a close 6 point game. Ali was going in as the undefeated man, but unfortunately he couldn't overcome the 98-yard touchdown by Gabe Davis to start the week, and he just from there it was just he was losing the entire time. Um, yeah. Besides that, this matchup was fairly close, and if he had started someone besides Russell Wilson, he had a chance at winning. But what can you do? Yeah, so quickly just moving on to our next segment. Just a quick discussion with ours truly, Ali Zedi. I kind of wanted to run through a few things with you just to start. I kind of wanted to understand like your just general sentiment on the season so far, and like how are you feeling?
I mean, I feel good. It's nice to be number one. It's hard to tell if I'm like a paper tiger where this is just luck, or maybe my team's actually good. But if you look at the points scored, that's not the case. But I don't know. You are what your record says you are. So I'll take being 4-1. So I'm enjoying it so far. I'd love to be first, and I'd love for Salik to be last. It's payback time. I already know I'm gonna do my comedy set in December. Don't worry. But I need to think of something. I have stuff for Salik, but I don't want it to be Raza or Daniel or someone. I want to we got to keep it fun.
Especially since Salik won it all last year. If he gets it last, that's definitely a championship hungover for sure. That's gonna be super fun to see you be number one and him or last.
To draft Kyle Pitts that high, you have to be hungover, or maybe actually just still drunk. One or the other.
Yeah. Exactly, bro. Yeah, honestly, like just kind of touching on your team, everyone's hitting except for Russell Wilson, of course. Who's your backup quarterback?
Well, I actually just traded. I drafted Dak.
Okay.
He, I don't know, broke his hand or something, or his thumb. Yeah. And it looks like Cooper Rush is going to lead the Cowboys to the Super Bowl. So I don't think he's getting his job back.
Undefeated.
Yeah. So, so I just traded. I just got Jalen Hurts off of Summy. So
yeah, run us through that trade quickly. Sorry to cut you off. Like, what do you think? How do you feel about giving up Dameon Pierce to your Ladla, so to speak?
I'm so sad. Like Dameon Pierce is just so good. But like Brees also is just so good. Like these last 2 years, these rookies have just been amazing. And I have a feeling like, I don't know, we don't want to cross into Daniel's territory with Dynasty, but I have a feeling like next year the rookies are going to be trash and we're just going to get screwed because we all are like, oh, we think they'll be so good. But yeah, like I think the thing that I've noticed the most about the season is that like quarterback is actually like something that matters. Like I used to just think like I could stream whatever quarterback is playing the Jets or whatever quarterback is playing a really garbage defense, but like the top 4 quarterbacks, like having a Mahomes or an Allen or a Lamar or a Hurts is like actually a huge advantage. And so that was my biggest thing where I wasn't even thinking about getting Hurts, but Summy offered and I was like, yeah, like I'm not even gonna try and counter this. I want that hit that accept on that like as soon as possible. So yeah, it sucks to give up Pierce, and I have a feeling Swift is gonna be really good the second half of the season. But I'm a Niner fan, so I'm glad to have Debo and welcome Brees and Hurts. So
dude, that's the biggest thing that I realized. Like, dude, you past couple of years you've been like, never trade for a quarterback, never draft a quarterback in the top like 10 rounds. Like you held that close to your heart for so long. And for you to trade for one and then, kind of get positional lock, I would say that's like easy 25 plus a game on average. Like he's been killing it this year and he has the easy schedule too. So that hopefully that'll continue. So
we'll see. We'll see. Sami told me he has some waiver claims out for some quarterbacks now. So we'll welcome to that world, Sami. I don't know if you're gonna like it, but you got no other choice.
Yeah. So quickly speaking back at you mentioning the Niners. So I kind of want to get your sentiment on not just how you feel about fantasy, but I also want to know, we're quarter through the season, and the Niners have had some close matchups, and they've won some good games. They've lost some close games. I just want to know how you're feeling about the Niners as well in general, and like what are your expectations for the rest of the season for your team?
Yeah, they lost to 2 of the most trash teams I've ever seen in my entire life. It should be 5-0. Like Nathaniel Hackett and Zach Taylor and like all those trash coaches need to be shot into the sun. But yeah, we lost and it's absolute nonsense. And then when we play against good teams, it's like we turn up. I'm really worried about the injuries. This always seems to be the case. I think Jimmy Ward went out after one play. Mosley is out for the season. Nick Bosa has a groin injury. It's just like it's piling up. I think they play the Falcons next week. I don't know. Like we'll see how that goes, but let's get to 4-2. Yeah, we'll see what happens.
I think they're playing the Chiefs after Atlanta, if I'm not mistaken, and that's like the marquee matchup. Mm-hmm. I'm really looking forward to that because, like Ali has been saying, 49ers have only played kind of not great teams thus far, and the Chiefs are like that one big matchup that everyone's looking forward to. So we'll see what the 49ers are definitely made of. But
so quickly before we move on, I just wanted to ask, I wanted to pose this question to both of you. Do you feel as though this team you currently have is a Super Bowl contender, or is it like Super Bowl and or bust? What are you guys thinking?
You got it, Ali.
I mean, it's so tough because the Eagles just look so good in the NFC. But beyond that, like I feel like it's kind of wide open. I think the Cowboys are like not that great to be honest. The Giants, whatever. But then yeah, it's like the Niners, the Packers, like the NFC is kind of meh. But at the same time, like even if we made it to like past the NFC Championship, we finally like got back to the Super Bowl. I don't think anyone's beating an AFC team. I think the Bills are crazy. The Chiefs are crazy. The Dolphins with Tua once they're back, I think like the Ravens. I think like all four of those teams would be like 9 or 10 win teams in the NFC. Whereas like we would get smacked, I think, in a lot of the AFC divisions. So yeah, I mean, Super Bowl maybe might get to it, but yeah.
It's crazy to think that times have changed just so much. Like we've talked about it on the podcast so many times that the NFC was like the powerhouse for all our lives pretty much. And then like this past couple of years, like there's been a slow shift of the AFC, especially the quarterbacks being like amazing quarterbacks. And then yeah, AFC being the teams to beat. So yeah, I feel like kind of same with Ali. Like yeah, hey, we can make it to the Super Bowl, but there's a very slim chance of us winning and beating an AFC team. So that's a super tough position that the 49ers are in. But hey, I mean, who doesn't like winning?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think Bills Chiefs play this week, so that's going to be a really really good game to see. I'm super annoyed that Thursday night is Commanders Bears as in prime time, and Bills Chiefs is like some random time. I think that's like a 3 p.m. game on Sunday. But yeah, like that'll be like a crazy game. And like when you watch that game, if you ask me, can the Niners hang with either of those teams? I'll be like, hell no.
That's hilarious. Wow, it's so odd that you have 3 p.m. games. Like I know you're Central Standard Time. That just sounds so weird.
Oh yeah, I forgot. Yeah, that's true. See, the London games are at a reasonable time for me. For you guys, it's like 6:30 in the morning. Yeah. I don't like football that much. I'd rather go to sleep. And neither does Danielle because he didn't take out Kamara. So
go, I got that dub, baby. So I guess enough about like you specifically. I think a big thing with bringing guest appearances onto our podcast is we're super open to suggestions and your guys' suggestions. And hopefully whenever you guys come onto the pod and you have a suggestion, we can roll with it on the podcast. So Ali had a really, really cool suggestion called 2 Truths and 1 Lie. And I can kind of hand it over to Ali and he can explain kind of what's going to go on and then we'll jump into it.
Yes. So 2 Truths and a Lie, basically, it's kind of like that game I think you play like as like an icebreaker, I think in college or high school or whenever. And basically, instead of us talking about each other, we already know each other. I don't need to know any more about Wajih. We're gonna talk about fantasy football. So we're gonna focus on 2 different position groups, and we're gonna say 3 statements about each of those position groups, and then Wajih and Raza are gonna decide separately kind of which 2 of them they think will be true by the end of the season and which one will be false by the end of the season. So it's kind of just projecting because we have about I think a quarter of the season done, so it's just kind of see where everyone's at. So I think the first one we'll look at are quarterbacks. And so statement 1 is that Geno Smith finishes the season as a better fantasy quarterback than Justin Herbert. Right now Geno is QB6 and Herbert is QB9. Number 2, Aaron Rodgers finishes the season outside the top 12 fantasy QBs. So right now he's QB 18. And then number 3, Jared Goff finishes the season inside the top 10 fantasy QBs. Right now he's QB 8.
Wow.
What, do you want to hit this one first or you want me to go?
I've been talking a lot, bro. It's all you.
Yeah, this is an interesting one because I feel like there's a lot of lines where I feel like it's super close. Let's start with the Aaron Rodgers one. You're saying that he currently finishes the season outside the top 12 fantasy QBs. This one intrigues me because I was looking back at the stats. I think over the last, 10 seasons where Rodgers has played like a full season, he's never finished outside the QB 10. So I definitely want to say that this would probably be one of the truths. The other truth, this is a tough one, but I might have to say, the way Geno Smith has been playing, I really think I have to go with Geno Smith finishes the season as a better fantasy QB than Justin Herbert. I have I have Herbert on my team, but the way he's playing is insane. There was one play that really stood out to me from the last game that they had. They had him roll out to his left and throw like a 20-yard dot to DK Metcalf that went for like 30 yards or a touchdown, I think. And that's like a throw that I don't think I've seen anyone besides like Russell Wilson make. So he's looking quite impressive, and I think the way the Seahawks are playing, he could really keep it up. Um, yeah, so that would be my two truths, and the lie, I'd have to go with the Jared Goff finishing the season inside the top 10 fantasy QBs. You kind of got a glimpse of it this week with them getting shut out. It seems like their defense is really bad, so it's been uplifting his performances to a certain degree just because of the amount of times he's having to throw. But yeah, I definitely think I gotta go with that. And Wajih, let's see what you got.
Yeah, I partly agree with you, not fully. I would say I would agree with you in the Geno Smith that he does finish better than Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert. Wow, I read that as Justin Fields. Now my whole talking point is out the window. I would say that that's a lie in my book. Taking a whole 180. Justin Herbert, especially Keenan Allen coming back, I feel like that's like his rock. So
is he coming back? Those hamstring injuries kind of are there for.
Yeah, I mean, if he comes back, this is like off the basis of if he comes back. Keenan Allen is his rock and kind of his safety blanket. Mike Williams is that deep threat, and Mike Williams has had to become that like safety blanket, or I guess the rock. For Justin Herbert, and that's just like not his role. So I think like the offense will look a lot better just from that one player. So I think Justin Herbert will be better than Geno Smith. That's the one lie for me. And then the other two would be truths. I honestly think that like Aaron Rodgers finishes like outside the top 12. But I mean, he's also Aaron Rodgers, so I'm not going to bet against him. And I'll put a truth on him. So, but yeah, Jared Goff. The reason why I think that he's a truth is because one, he didn't have like any receivers at his disposal this past game, and the New England Patriots, especially Bill Belichick, he's very notorious to take away the offense's like most important characteristic, whether that's running the ball, or passing it to this one player, or passing the ball. So they're very pass heavy, and Belichick took that away through all his coverages, and they struggled. And I mean,
yeah, I think Jared Goff has scored like 3 points against Bill Belichick if you combine the Super Bowl and then this game. So.
Oh man,
Jared Goff, like Jared Goff has Belichick in his head for sure. So I think like there's better days coming for Jared Goff. But how about you? What do you think is the two truths and one lie?
I honestly think that like Aaron Rodgers, it's tough because I just don't, the consistency with the receivers is just extremely tough, and you kind of, I think, and they have a first place schedule, I think, in that division too. And I honestly think you saw it a little bit, and I hope they get the running game involved a lot more over the course of the season, because I think their two best skill position players other than Aaron Rodgers are their running backs. AJ Dillon, like, it's a crime to see him not really get involved. So, like I really think they should almost go to a Niners way of offense and defense, where it's like you let your really, really good defense, kind of control the pace, you kind of control time of possession. And the problem with that is that I don't QB production just isn't as much. So it's almost like Aaron Rodgers is like a supercharged Jimmy Garoppolo, in this case, and it's like,
Yeah.
is that enough to get you in the top 12? I don't know. So I honestly would say that's the truth. Yeah, Justin Herbert, I totally agree. I think he'll end up he'll riding the ship. Also, Geno Smith. I feel like we've seen this before where like random QBs start out the season really hot and then kind of taper off. And then it's the same exact argument for Jared Goff. And also like, yeah, I also think Dan Campbell is an annoying ass coach, to be honest. Like I saw him in Hard Knocks and I feel like the players are slowly getting sick of him. Like I think I watched the game. He called 3 timeouts in under 2 minutes left and you're down 29-0. Like just let him go home. Like get him just go home. We don't need to see this game any longer. So yeah,
He
I
seems
don't
like
know
he's
how I
always
feel
about
about
to
that.
cry as well. Like just looking at him on the
He's an
field.
emotional coach, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a good emotional coach. It's good to have as like an offensive line coach. Is like your head coach. I'm not convinced he knows how to run an offense. He's like, oh shit, like Sun God is out and Swift is out, so like we're just done. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. And so I don't know how long we're going. So I'll just zoom through this one if
20
we
minutes.
want. If we don't have time. All right. Yeah. So I'll zoom through this next one. This last one is for wide receivers. So 2 truths and a lie again. So tell me which 2 are going to be true and which one is going to be a lie. So number 1, like you mentioned, Keenan Allen may or may not be coming back. Mike Williams has been feasting. He's right now wide receiver 8. So I'm going to say number 1, he finishes inside the top 15 wide receivers in fantasy. Number 2 is again related to Geno Smith. Both Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf finish as top 24 fantasy wide receivers. Right now, DK is 7 and Lockett is 18. And last but not least, let me just say a couple names to you guys, and you guys tell me what they all have in common. Olamide Zaccheaus,
Okay.
Ben Skoranek,
Mm-hmm.
Richie James Jr.
All bums?
Do you know what team? Do you know what team Richie James Jr. plays for? We gotta do like who he played for.
I don't know.
I think the Giants, right?
Giants, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he's the wide receiver 4 on the Giants.
Oh my
And
god.
he is currently having a better fantasy wide receiver season than Allen Robinson, who I would like to remind you was picked in the 4th round of our fantasy redraft league. And he's currently wide receiver 75. And so my third statement is Allen Robinson finishes outside the top 50 fantasy wide receivers. So tell me again, Mike Williams, top 15, DK and Lockett, both top 24, and A-Rob outside of top 50. 2 truths and a lie.
Why'd you
Wow,
go for it?
tough one. Yeah, sure. I can jump right into it. I think one of the truths is Allen Robinson finishes outside the top 50 wide receivers. Matthew Stafford just loves his white boys. I mean, you said it. Ben Skoranek is better than him. And Tyler Higbee and Cooper Kupp. I mean, there's just who knows? Odell Beckham may come back. I'm not sure his timetable is this season, but he may come back to the Rams and take over that number 2 slot that they most desperately need. So that's a truth for me. I think another truth for me is DK and Lockett finishing in the top 24 wide receivers, just because Geno is going to be, feeding them the ball, and Seattle is going to be a very pass-happy defense. Rashad Penny going down. I know Kenneth Walker comes in, but they've been down most games and they've had to play from behind. So I think Geno Smith is just going to light it up, and hopefully those guys will get or become successful from it.
All right. My 2 truths be a little bit different than Wajih. I agree that A-Rob, I think he's finished. He's burnt toast out there. He's just running cardio. He can't get open to save his life. So it's not. I wouldn't say it's completely Matthew Stafford's fault. I've seen the routes. He doesn't create any separation. He hasn't before in his career either. But I mean, you're having new rapport with your quarterback. It's super difficult to really get anything going if you have such a great player across from you in Cooper Kupp. So why even bother trying to throw it at Allen Robinson? The other truth, since we're low on time, I'm just gonna go quickly. I'm gonna say Mike Williams finishing in the top 15. I just really think that he's already built such a good chemistry with Justin Herbert, and I just don't know what's gonna happen with Keenan Allen. Even if he does come back, how long will he play for before he re-injures the hamstring? Because soft tissue injuries are like a big worry. It was easier for me to think of the Russell, sorry, not Russell Wilson, Geno Smith, the sustaining two wide receivers in the top 24. I know Tyler Lockett's been super hot this season, but I just feel like there's a really high chance that he kind of fades away, like most receivers do at some point in the season, and I think there's a good chance that he falls out of the top 24.
I just checked Fantasy Pros. Allen Robinson, we didn't have a game today, and he moved down to 76. So he's impressing. He's impressing me.
That's tough.
How about you, Ali? What is your two truths, one lie?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to agree with Raza. I'm just gonna say I'm gonna go quick. For a lot of the same reasons. Yeah, I think Mike Williams is a really, really good wide receiver. We've shown it. He's kind of boomer bust, but he's kind of forced to be more consistent with no Keenan Allen, and Allen Robinson is just absolute trash. Shout out Danielle for giving me a first round pick in Dynasty for him. So that's all I'm gonna say.
That's hilarious. Drop the mic, man. Well, that was a fun segment. Thanks for the suggestion. Super cool. Now to our last segment of the day. Drum roll, please. Shaqtin the Fool for week 5 was none other than Amar, the Resurgence. Tough Amar, man. Like, he didn't break 100 points, which is really tough. And started off the week with 1.8 points from the $69 man, Naheem Hines.
75.
75? Oh my God. Even worse. Even worse. Hines just got injured, I think, first quarter, so that did not help at all. And then just all his other kind of stars did not live up to the hype. Mahomes went off, but other than that, not a lot of players that performed. Ramondre Stevenson is now RB1 because Damon Harris is out for a couple games. So it's looking up for Amar. He's, I think, number 4 in the league right now. So he's still the upper echelon of fantasy players, and hopefully he can keep it there. But thank you for hopping on. Thank you, Ali, for taking the time.
Ali. Yeah, and, thanks for having me. This is really fun. Can't wait to see the other guests.
Yes, sir. Maybe he'll be on for another show with another guest, just because we don't have as many weeks as we have players. So we'll definitely reach out and hopefully get him on another pod.
If you can have a boss, just have a boss be a recurring guest if you can somehow lock him down.
Hey, he's a busy man, bro. It's hard to lock him down. But hopefully he watches this pod and gets to the end and laughs at this joke.
I don't think so.
Well, thank you guys. See you guys next week.
Thanks.
See you.
Bye,
Peace.